20,000 fans packed into the American Airlines Center, expecting a historic showdown. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers, two generational stars, one long-anticipated face-off. But what they got was something even bigger. A moment that redefined the Indiana Fever, changed how the world sees this team, and ended with 6 words from Aaliyah Boston that stunned the WNBA. It was supposed to be the game. The 2024 #1 draft pick going head-to-head with the likely top pick of 2025. Fever versus Wings wasn't just another matchup. It was a statement game, one that had fans rushing to grab tickets the moment the venue changed. Dallas moved the game from their regular 7,000-seat arena to the massive American Airlines Center, where Luka and Kyrie normally take the floor. You don't make that move unless you know something big is about to happen. And clearly, they did. Tickets sold out. The buzz was insane. Social media was on fire. This was the kind of game women's basketball fans dream about. Clark versus Bueckers under the brightest lights. But just 2 nights before tip-off, everything flipped. Caitlin Clark's groin injury flared up again. Suddenly, her availability was in question. Panic spread. Fans who had flown in just to see her play weren't even sure she'd take the court. And to make matters worse, the Fever had just gotten completely embarrassed by the Sparks. A brutal loss that raised every possible red flag. Without Clark, Indiana's offense looked lost. The pace slowed to a crawl. Ball movement, gone. Aaliyah Boston barely touched the ball. Kelsey Mitchell was overworked and out of rhythm. The whole thing felt broken. And Dallas? They were watching, licking their chops. They knew exactly what this team looked like without Clark, and it wasn't pretty. Everything pointed to disaster. Even Clark's coach admitted that her status would be a game-time decision. The team was prioritizing her long-term health, and rightfully so. But in the short term, it felt like the main event had been canceled. The buzz started to fade. The Wings could already smell blood, and yet something incredible happened. Even with no guarantee that Clark would play, 20,049 people showed up. A Texas state record for women's basketball attendance. Fans didn't stay home. They didn't cancel plans. They showed up and showed out. That crowd wasn't there just for Clark anymore. They were there for the moment, but nobody was prepared for what was about to unfold. Coach Stephanie White threw a curveball nobody saw coming, starting Ari McDonald for the first time. Kelsey Mitchell stayed on the wing. The game plan was completely flipped. It was risky, it was bold, and it changed everything. From the opening tip, the Fever came out like a team possessed. They hit their first 7 shots, not just lucky buckets, clean, decisive plays. Ari McDonald brought a level of energy the Wings weren't ready for. She was pushing the pace, finding open lanes, and turning a once static offense into a storm. Her impact was immediate. Dallas had spent all week game planning for Clark and Mitchell, but McDonald threw a wrench into all of it. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston finally got the spacing she needed to dominate. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't being double-teamed the moment she touched the ball. McDonald's downhill attacks pulled defenders away, and Boston went to work. She started feasting in the paint, finishing strong, grabbing boards, controlling the game like the all-star she is. The Fever were playing like a team, not like a squad waiting for Clark to bail them out. Kelsey Mitchell didn't force anything. She let the game come to her. But when she did attack, it was clinical, efficient, deadly. 10 points in the first quarter alone, but it didn't feel like a takeover. It felt like balance. It felt like a system that finally clicked. At the end of the first quarter, Indiana led 33-13. Let that sink in. A 20-point lead against a fully healthy Wings team on their home court without Clark. Even the Dallas fans were applauding the basketball they were watching. But the real test hadn't arrived yet. In the second and third quarters, Dallas started to wake up. They adjusted. They tightened up on defense and started hitting shots they missed earlier. Paige Bueckers began putting on an absolute clinic, reminding everyone why she's the future of the league. Her stat line? A ridiculous 27 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 0 turnovers. That's never been done before in WNBA history. And just like that, the Fever's lead started slipping. You could feel it. That familiar anxiety creeping in. The same breakdown that happened against the Sparks started showing signs. Missed rotations, sloppy passing, poor spacing. It was happening again. But this time, something was different. Kelsey Mitchell refused to fold. She entered a different gear, controlled but ruthless. She didn't just score, she orchestrated. She picked apart the defense, made the smart pass, then knocked down the dagger when it counted. Mitchell ended the night with 32 points and 7 assists, shooting 11 for 17. But more importantly, she played like the leader this team desperately needed. Aaliyah Boston? She stepped up even more. Clutch rebounds, perfect positioning, defensive stops when they mattered most. Her final line? 21 points, 9 of 14 shooting, and 100% from the free throw line. In the moments where this team could have collapsed, she held the foundation steady, and together, they closed it out. Final score, 94-86. On the road. On the second night of a back-to-back. Without their star. The crowd that came to see Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers witnessed something even better, a team discovering its identity. And what Aliyah Boston said after the game sealed it. She walked to the podium, paused, and looked directly into the camera. When asked about the crowd, about playing on the road, about pulling off the impossible, she said, "Every game is a home game." 6 words, but they hit like a thunderclap. Because if you were watching that game, you felt it. Those Fever fans weren't just sprinkled throughout the stands. They were loud. They were passionate. They made it feel like Gainbridge Fieldhouse had been airlifted into Dallas. Boston's words weren't just about crowd noise. They were about identity, about belief, about a team that knows who they are, with or without Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell echoed it too. She talked about the confidence they draw from seeing those Fever jerseys in the stands, the energy loop between fans and players, how when they feel that support, they play differently, stronger, faster, smarter. And that's the scary part, because this win wasn't just a one-off fluke. It was a blueprint. The Fever moved to 8-8. They now sit third in the Eastern Conference, just 2 games behind Atlanta and 4 behind New York. They've got the Commissioner's Cup final coming up, followed by a 5-game home stretch in Indy. And when Clark returns, she's not coming back to a team that needs saving. She's joining a team that knows it can win. They're not just Clark's team anymore. They're contenders. This is what building a culture looks like. It's what happens when your locker room believes in each other, when your coach makes bold moves and they work, when your fans travel across the country to support you, win or lose. Every game is a home game. That's not just a quote. That's a warning. If you support the Fever, drop a comment below saying, "I've got the Fever." Subscribe and turn on notifications. Because if this game showed us anything, it's that something special is brewing in Indiana. And this is just the beginning.